Hey James, hello, how are you? So I'm doing this video because I have to walk you through a number of changes that I did. There was very hard work and honestly it was the most challenging thing I ever did for your website. Definitely I was not expecting to do all the things I did, but I mean you helped me out with the rent thing and in the end of the day, I really want your website to be the best. So let's jump into the things I did. Because it's not a very intuitive thing at first, I will have to walk you through um, kind of like the steps to reach to the conclusion of why the thing that I did is actually the best thing possible. So let's start looking this blog, for example. The section that I'm interested in talking with you is this little section here. Is a section that showcases the title of a blog post and some data about who posted, if it have any comments, the date, etc. Most blogs, actually 99% of the blogs, they can't really change that because it's really hard to do it. It's not just like a static page. Every time you create a blog post, a new page is created automatically. So to change any structure involved in this, you would need to change the essence of that machine itself. So it's very hard. So in this case, you can see there's absolutely no difference between how the title is displayed before and after. What you can see also is that it have some sort of illustrative image going on, and it just gets a little bigger once you open it. So basically this is it. So this is what I would call level 0, what most blogs have, to not say almost every single blog it's like this. The next step would be something more or less like Allison. Like if you go back to her one step back in her blog, you are going to notice. Sorry for my internet. My internet is extremely slow right now. You're going to notice that like the title and this information have a certain format. And once you click to read, also it has a feature image that's already better than the way this one featured, right? Because actually it takes a place in the post. Also, the text here have a different format after you click it. So this would be like a little bit further of improvement after, like from the 0 mark, right? A third level of improvement to this would be what Watching America do. So, for example, you see a post, it can be any post. Once again, I apologize for my internet. I don't intend this video to be insanely long. um, okay, so here we see that they have a little title here and a big feature image comparing to the size of the title. The feature image also takes a different place, although it doesn't change too much of size. But the title now goes to the top, and there's a line below it. So this is some level of customization. And also here you see that you have some more information going on. So this would be a step further from this one because it plays a little better with the title and where certain informations are positioned. But why is this important? Why am I talking about this? I really want your blog to be something like that people are gonna remember. That for me, that's the main thing. I want people to be talking about the website, not only because you are awesome and you have awesome services, because the website it's some way or the other a piece of art. Although we cannot go like extremely crazy at the moment, but I need to the website itself to be some sort of statement that you are going for serious business, like this was really not just put together but was crafted. So I want, when I envision your blog posts, what I was looking for is a way to make every single blog post have the same importance as a page. So let's just continue with the progression. So here we have Lugano translations, and this is very interesting. At some point, oh sorry, at some point, either somebody was doing a work with this, or they are using a service that did a work like this. And although the blog itself is it's crap, like they are doing a horrible job sustaining a blog. Once you click in any blog post, any given blog post, for example, this one, business save money, whatever, you can see that the title it's have its own section with the date and the category that it's in. Um, Also, you can notice that the person did not add a category to the blog, so you can see that the person doing this is not very focused on it at the moment. They could heavily improve their blog with little effort. But the thing about this is that I think this is really interesting when you are trying to give importance to a title, that the title have its own zone. I don't think it's so interesting that you have a bunch of blank space behind it. So let's go to the next level. Like if we're going to keep the progression, what would be? So here we have translators family. I have a lot of problems with the way they design the website. I mean, color-wise, decision-wise, um, even the way like colors change. Like I don't agree with this, for example. So anyway, if we see a blog post like this, and I click in it, it's gonna do something similar to Lugano, but the difference is, of course, although it's have problems. For example, the way it loads is not from top to bottom and things like that. It's gonna also put the title in its own space. You can see that it's not very well divided and this and that. It's okay. There's no like instead of making the image behind darker so the white text would pop out, they just decide to put like a black border behind it, what just don't do the job. You can see that if I just hover everything like this, it's already way better to read, right? This is the importance of having white in contrast with something that's darker. Anyway, so okay, I have disagreements with the decisions around basically how everything in this page is done, but it's one level further than this one, although it doesn't have the information in, because there's an image behind. So not only they put the title in its own zone, but they also add an image behind. But this is still all incomplete work. It's not that much good. At least when I idealize what would be the best kind of format for a blog post, this is not what comes to my mind. One of the reasons, of course, is because there's no information like this. And the other reason is because when you open any post, it's just loading the same image over and over and over. So for me, what it looks like for me is that the feature image is just a little thing to be in the thumbnail. Like, look, this is really whatever to have this in here, and they always want to use the same banner for every single blog post. I can understand why people do stuff like this, because really changing this is really no easy task. It's a bunch of work. But yesterday I did a bunch of work and I wrote a bunch of shit. So let's see the results of that, okay? All right. So first of all, I have to let's go to the blog, okay? So ignore what you just saw. The person accessed your blog, right? We did quite a few things already. We have a very customized and well placed category browsing menu. That's already something really cool. But the person accesses your blog, and then it's gonna see a bunch of blog posts. It's always gonna show your most recent blog posts, okay? And what's gonna happen once I click in one, for example? You can see that it have a feature image, right? So this image in this case is just a little image that stays here in the left. And in your case, when you access a blog, a new blog, look what I did. Your feature image now is going to be the background image of a whole section for your title with the information below. This is awesome. This I really wanted to achieve that, because when we look at your blog posts in this format, what we are going to see is that each blog post have the same kind of importance that a whole page have. If I'm in your blog or in a blog post, for example, you can see that the size, the way everything is working together, just make it feel like it's very important. And one of the coolest things is that I also, although this is not something that usually we can do with the kind of resources that I was using to build your website, I also could put that particular menu in each single blog post you do. So for example, let's see how it's gonna go. So I created this example of blog post, right? And if you start scrolling down, you're gonna see the blog post starts, the person starts reading, and there is this very handy sidebar. So what the sidebar do is it offer more options for the person to navigate through your website. For example, for one blog post to another. Oh, I love this post, so I want to go to the next one. Oh, here's the list with, for example, here. So here's the list with your most recent posts. So I don't need to just go to the blog and do all the process all over again. Also, I can filter by the months. I can even use a calendar to filter by the months. I can see engagement. Oh, that thing that's popped here is also something I created for you. So look how it's gonna go. If I refresh this page, and let's assume, of course, you know that I added a way for people to share information about your blog. So if somebody clicking here is going to immediately be able to share about the exactly page the person is seeing on Facebook. In this case, he's not able because the website's not open for everybody to see. But we will be once we launch it. So the first thing you're going to notice is that once a certain point, let's say the person is reading, he's not really interested, or he wants to go up, he wants to read the title again and everything, this little arrow pops up. Okay, this is a new addition. So I changed the whole format. All your blog posts are going to work, but I also added some cool things like this too. So if the person clicking here, he's going to be gently brought up to this section. So let's say if the person likes to use this particular menu, he wants to check up the title again, he wants to click to search by the author name and stuff like that. And once the person finishes reading, this pops up. So in this case, the end of the post is in here, about 70% of the page. So as soon as the person finishes reading, this pops up. So this is a cool reminder. Like you just finished reading something I did, so share about it, right? So of course the person always going to have the option in here, but it's good to have this reminding thing. It really have a good amount of conversion rate. All that I just said is already pretty cool, but in the end there's more. So below every single post you do, you're gonna need to do nothing about it. It's gonna have a subscription box, just to remember people that they can subscribe after they finish reading. There's gonna be the commentary of people, so you can see that I comment twice. And if I comment once more, so let's say that I do always some work as always, and I click in submit comments, what's gonna happen is that immediately after I submit the comment, this is gonna pop up too. Because if I comment, maybe I'm willing to share, right? Not everybody comments on anything. And this is also really cool because I added a new button to it. I just went ahead and put in this button every single possible way to share something that allows anyone to connect to any website. So the person um, will just click here, and if the way they want to share is not there, they can select whatever way that you want. Um, all right, so this is a good overview, but let's see how this works like in practice with other posts. So I'm gonna, for example, select this one that's called the ground story. It's a handle name. And boom, you can see that the feature image becomes the background instantaneously. The same thing happens every time the person reaches this point, the share thing pops up, and sidebar is there. The person can see the most recent activities from users, so they can feel that your blog is alive, like people's really interacting with your blog. Um, Also, let's go blog again. And another one, the sky is strange, another handle name, but boom, the image is there. The only thing you're gonna need to know is that, by the way, you don't need to have an image to any blog post at all. For example, if you just don't add an image, it's just gonna be darker like this. Um, and that's also somewhat fine. Um, but here's the catch. Every single image, just for the future, just for the record, that you're gonna add as a feature image to be like highlighting your post, try to get a one that is horizontal. If it's vertical, for this image here, although it doesn't show up like this, it's mainly vertical, so it's not gonna crop properly. So for example, look, it's just a piece of the sky of the image because the image is vertical. So use horizontal images like rectangular like this, and it's gonna always fit very well. As I showcased in this blog post, you're gonna be able to add many images in the body of the blog post with absolutely no problem at all. It's gonna be just okay, and you have a lot of resources to customize any given post. To showcase that, I would like to show you how to create a blog post with the new system that I put in here. I'm using an experimental system. It's a new one. It's called Gutenberg. It's fairly different from the one that you are using to use. Um, but if you like the other one better, I can just revert it. Um, Basically, it it treats everything as blocks. So you can, let's say, blog posts. And then you write your blog post, lorem ipsum. So let's just copy this a million times, like so. And here you're going to be able to change a bunch of things and add new blocks. For example, I want a block between the title and the content. So I'm going to just insert the block, and I can add an image. The image can come from the library. I can add another block, and I can add like a block that it's from a certain list already to help you out, like a paragraph or a video, uh, and everything just is gonna work fairly well. Once you select an image, for example, so here you're gonna see some of the images that have been uploaded in the website. Doesn't matter which one I'm gonna choose, so let's choose this one for instance. It's gonna be added to the posts, and yeah, that's very intuitive. You're going to be able to change a lot of options in here, but this is very experimental. It's a new thing that's coming out, so if it doesn't work fairly well, have certain limitations, definitely can just put the regular way back, and that's it. Nothing to be afraid of. Okay. Another thing that I have to say is that the same kind of effort I put to this, I also put in the categories. So when I look, for example, the art category, that the first one that I was finishing this up, it's gonna work fairly alike with the blog post. So we're gonna have the image that you select. as a background image. It's gonna have the some description for the category. It's gonna say it's a category, and then the person is gonna be seeing only blog posts from that given category. A small thing that might just go without much notice is that if you're not in a blog post, the sidebar is not highlighted because it's not as needed. But once you access any given blog post, you're gonna see that the sidebar have this little highlights because it's now a very important tool for the reader. So I finished reading, I like it. Oh man, this is so awesome. Let's see this other blog post. This is the idea behind it, right? You want to give people very easy access to read more than one thing at a time. That's why also there's a category drop down here that shows all categories that actually have content in it. And that's pretty much it. There's a bunch of work that have been done towards that. It's really very structural. That's really nothing compared com to like build a page like this. Like building a page like this, it's fairly easy to me comparing to changing the way a blog post is gonna display. The reason behind it's so hard and different, and it's not more design, it starts being development. It's because this page is gonna be the same like forever. When I say that this is because every time you click blog, this is what have to appear. But every time you create a blog post, a new page is created. So if you click in this one, for example, you're gonna see this one have its own address. That's because when you created the post, this page was generated. So to change anything in a blog post, you would need to change the machine who creates blog posts. What is very technical and really the bottom line is very hard, but I'm very proud that I put this I could do it. It's many steps ahead of something like this in many ways, like not only the way it displays because it's way better designed this way, not only because it can have the information and have um, an image behind you, not only because it have the darker background to highlight the text, but also because it's very functional. This kind of sharing thing is just not functional at all. Like why would somebody want to print things somebody like clicking this button when you can just press Ctrl P, for example, and many other things. Like the way they display the social media thing is also inferior to the way you're gonna have it. Um, and and that's it. Yes. So the next steps for me would be to replicate what I did with Art Story to all those. It's everything is prepared for that. So it's not gonna take a lot of my time. And I needed to start working with the footer because I actually didn't do much about this really. I needed to wrap up the request a quote section. We needed to talk a bit about some of the services. And one thing that you can do to help us for now is to think about those kind of descriptions that's gonna go, for example, in here. For example, going services. It's not gonna have a button saying start reading, right? Because it's services. But the description that would come under services, something fairly small, could have like 2 lines, 3 lines. Um, and yes, and then we're gonna go back at talking about the content in this so I can style it better. Unfortunately, I can't style it a lot more without knowing the size of the text. For example, you can see that this line is not connecting to this line. But if I fix this now and this text changes of size, then I will have to do it again. So let's just walk through the things. We are really progressing. Like I'm really proud of what I'm showing you about the blog. So thank you very much. I hope everything was clear. I hope I could showcase very well the results of the work, and like no one have something like that. I've ever seen something like that. I think 3 times in my whole life in 3 different very high-end websites, and they were like websites really insanely expensive. So this definitely is gonna send a message to a lot of people about how serious we are about translating web translators websites. Okay, James, thank you very much. Hopefully I can send this out by email easily. So give me a heads up when you start seeing this video. Thank you.